lo estábamos planteando, ¿por qué no pensar en declarar?
Why not also declare as terrorist organizations all these criminal structures that are dedicated to instilling fear in this sector and throughout the country?
That's Honduran National Party Congressman Marcos Paz. On May 21st, a massacre in the Bajuaguan region left 20 campesinos dead, and a new law is threatening land rights for thousands. Under the past government, agrarian reform floundered without political support, and the new government is showing its cards. I'm Juliana Ramazzini, a journalist at El Faro English, and this is our weekly podcast, Central America in Minutes. In Nicaragua, the house arrest of Daniel Ortega's brother
relates more to El Salvador and Honduras than to Guatemala. In the case of Guatemala,
they say globalism comes to die at CPAC, but in El Salvador, it's already dead.
Central America in Minutes, an original podcast by El Faro English.
In late February, the National Party, freshly returned to power, proposed a new agricultural law in line with the Tito Asfura government's closeness to big business. By June 5th, less than 4 months after inauguration, the law was a reality. The process was swift. The debate stayed behind closed doors. Zero consultation was offered to hundreds of communities facing direct consequences. Civil society had issued dire warnings about a state-sponsored assault on land. The prize is the Caribbean coast, where land rights are a matter of survival. According to the Center for the Study of Democracy, or CESPAD, the new law shields agro-industrial elites with automated permits. It also strips campesino cooperatives of their right to recover lost land. The massacre of campesinos in May isn't an isolated event. The government claimed the massacre was not related to the historic land conflict in the region and blamed it on organized crime. But the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights confirmed that the victims were campesinos. It's part of a systemic conflict that has left hundreds dead over the last 2 decades. Honduras is one of the most violent countries in the world toward land defenders. The government claims they are stopping land occupations. Meanwhile, land disputes are being rebranded as national security threats. In May, Congress reformed 8 articles of the Criminal Code. They expanded the definition of a terrorist association to include legally registered organizations, placing community leaders in the crosshairs. And our proposed Safe House law seeks to grant the military and police full powers to carry out operations based purely on the perception of a threat to property. On June 16, community collectives filed a challenge with the Supreme Court. This is Miriam Miranda, coordinator of the Garifuna organization Ofrané.
Through this law, a community can be attacked at any moment, removed from where it has lived for years, some for centuries. I believe we're not even dimensioning what a law means that in practice is an attack against the life of the people.
I am Lady Colon Santiago, a journalist at El Faro English and one of the reporters of this episode. Do you get our newsletter? Go to elfaro.net/en and subscribe to dig deeper into Central America.
Last week, Costa Rican President Laura Fernández asked the head of customs to draft a reform to the migration law in response to an influx of migrants from Nicaragua and other countries at the border. Since the countries share a border, Costa Rica is one of the places with the most Nicaraguan migrants. The diaspora grew during the uprising against the Ortega Murillo regime in 2018. And while some Nicaraguans have fled Costa Rica in recent years following the murder of prominent refugees on Costa Rican soil, it remains the first destination to escape the regime. Fernández mentions that one problem in Cruzitas, a main border crossing and a site of mining controversy, is the illegal migration of Nicaraguans and people from other countries. The president called migration a matter of national security, claiming migrants are linked to organized crime and other issues in Cruzitas. And they have identified cases of people who have been deported up to 70 times. The icing on the cake is that, a few days after this request, Fernández stated that Nicaraguans have their own internal problems and thus chose their government. The reality is that organizations such as the Inter-American Commission have documented an apparatus of state repression in Nicaragua. In 2021, during the last elections, the Ortega Murillo regime detained 7 presidential contenders. Her comments sparked controversy among Costa Rican opposition figures and the Nicaraguan diaspora. Former Costa Rican President Luis Guillermo Solís said he deplored Fernández's remarks and that they demonstrated a lack of knowledge about human rights violations in Nicaragua. Fernández said she wants a fraternal trade relationship with Nicaragua and an orderly border where Nicaraguans living in Costa Rica are properly regulated. She added, "I barely have enough time to solve Costa Rica's problems before getting involved in other countries' issues."
Every week, we translate Central America in under 10 minutes. Go to support.elfaro.net to help us continue.
On Monday, in El Faro English, we published our newly renamed digital magazine, Beacon. This first issue is varied in genre and geography. You'll find an investigation into the story of 3 prisoners who were never convicted by a court and died while in state custody in El Salvador. Their bodies were buried in mass graves without their families' knowledge. In Guatemala, I interviewed Defense Minister Henry Sáenz. In our surprisingly candid conversation, he told us that military agreements with Trump are limited to infrastructure and quote-unquote training in the fight against drug trafficking. He denied that U.S. forces are engaged in combat in Guatemala. He also says Guatemala has proposed a dry canal to mitigate a future crisis involving the Panama Canal, referring to the possibility that it could run out of water. El Faro English aims not only to translate what is happening in Central America, but to view the world from a Central American lens. In this edition, we go to Louisiana, where Leticia, an immigrant aid activist, guides us through a world of terror unleashed by U.S. immigration agents. We also see the community response, solidarity networks, community patrols, and group chats monitoring ICE movements. From our archives, we translated 2 long-form narrative features that have become a hallmark of El Faro's award-winning reporting. The first one, published in 2001, chronicles the Bosnian city Sarajevo after it was liberated from a siege imposed by Serbian troops, and then follows the trials of war criminals in The Hague. The second one was published in December 2010. It won the Ortega y Gasset Award and shows us an El Salvador where finding a dead loved one comes as a profound relief. For the first time in our magazine, we include a fictional tale of a detention center on Mars. And last but not least, we translate a poem from Nicaraguan exile, Gioconda Belli. She asks, "What's the citizenship of pain? Does each human heart display a map that bears only its own geography?" Thank you for listening today. For more journalism like this, we need your help. Go to support.elfaro.net. For what you spend on a coffee a month, help us shine a brighter beacon on Central America. I wrote this episode of Central America in Minutes with Gabriel Labrador and Leirian Colón Santiago. Editing by Roman Grecier and sound design by Omnion. We'll be back next week. Hasta pronto.